As we told you a little bit earlier in the show, today was Herman Cain's second trip to the tri-state in just 2 months. But this visit was a lot different than the last one. Is the difference because Cain is now on the defensive instead of being on the offense? Ben checks it out in tonight's Reality Check.
Well, what a difference 2 months can make. The last time Herman Cain was here in Cincinnati was at the beginning of October. He visited Lunken Airport, and on his way out of town, he stopped and talked with the media. There were only a few of us there, and Cain was open and ready to talk. In fact, I had a one-on-one conversation where we debated the math of 999.
Even though the employer is paying 7.65, that money really belongs to the worker. So the 15.3 we replace with 9%. So you got a 6% improvement in total for the worker.
So the idea is that the employer would then give that money back to the worker instead of paying it to the feds? No. The 7.65 that the employer is paying right now as their part would go back to the employee. This idea.
15.3% is the total amount.
Got it.
The 9% is no longer the 15.3. So the employee doesn't pay 7.65. The employer doesn't pay 7.65. The employee now pays 9%. It's their money, even though it was coming from the employer.
No, I left that meeting with Cain not agreeing that the 7.65% in employee payroll taxes that would be eliminated and replaced with a 9% sales tax would all be a wash. But my job isn't to agree with the man, it's to question him. And Herman Cain was definitely a stand-up guy for taking the questions. My interview then was the day after the first poll, which named him front-runner in the Republican race. At that time, Cain needed two things. He needed money and exposure. He came to Cincinnati to get money. He talked with journalists like me to get the exposure. As I said, what a difference 2 months makes. In West Chester this morning, Cain not only didn't have any interest in talking with the media, he blamed the media for the scandals he's been facing.
They're attacking my character, my reputation, and my name in order to try and bring me down.
Then later this afternoon, he was on Your World with Neil Cavuto, and he said this.
I have denied these charges, but the fact that sometimes they are distorted, it hurts my family when they are twisted sometimes in the media.
But he didn't want to talk with us. I talked to two staffers asking for 5 minutes of time with Mr. Cain today. They both told me they weren't sure what was going to happen. So here's what happened when the speech did end at the Marriott.
And as your president, I will never apologize for the greatness of the United States of America.
I am America, one voice, united we stand.
And that was it. No questions were allowed from the floor. Mr. Cain, because he actually has Secret Service, walked the rope line. But media can't approach him or you'll be tackled by Secret Service. We tried to get in a couple of questions asking about support for his campaign, which Mr. Cain says he is now reassessing. So here's what you need to know. At the end of the day, Herman Cain doesn't have to talk to the media. It's his right not to, just as it is for every candidate. But it was in May of this year when Mr. Cain had complained that he wasn't getting enough media coverage. Now, journalists are being told to get written statements instead of interviews. And maybe this is the problem with media in this country right now. They fill really one of two roles in the public's mind and the politician's mind, either doing PR for one candidate or a hatchet job for another. And politicians are more than happy to let them do both. Doesn't leave much room for balanced news, but we'll keep trying. And that is Reality Check.
If you would like to make your voice heard on the story, you can head over to Ben's Facebook page. You can find it by searching Ben Swan, WXIX.